Hello and welcome to the Nordic Takedown podcast. My name is Jason the Captain Kirk, also known as Fun Daddy. But I don't really need to use that one here because Adam's not with us this week. So we can't talk about his nickname, or can we? I think Mother Moose was one that came up as well because, but we'll keep calling him Humble. But I am joined here today by a guest, a friend, and a new host as well. We are joined by Mattias. We don't have a nickname for you yet.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet, but we will get there. Maybe we'll put a poll out to the users. Mattias, welcome to the Nordic Takedown.
Thank you.
Really great to have you here. We will start getting to know you very soon. But before that, let's talk about a little bit about what are we talking about tonight. There's been a lot of discussion. A lot has happened in the last week.
Yeah.
Like crazy amounts happened. Like we record on a Tuesday night, and then we had the draft, or we had some local play on the Wednesday. I came down for a little bit, played the game, opened some packs, and then I was watching the FFG stuff, and there were so many spoilers.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot.
And I'm just like, okay, I feel like we need to have 3 episodes a week to keep up, but we don't have time for that. So, what are we going to do? So we're going to be talking about a little bit about the meta and everything that's going on, some of the decks that have been winning, and then a little bit about the new mechanics. I'll just we want to spend a bit more of time on the smuggle bounty capture stuff, but the big conversation we're having tonight is, okay, what is aggro, what is mid-range, what is control? And this is more of let's talk about it as if we're talking to noobs, because they are,
because you're here,
and talking to for me, because we played on Friday night, and I was just like, okay, let's talk. Okay, what is aggro? What is mid range? What is control? What does that actually mean for Star Wars? Because I'm pretty sure there's players out there that may be a little bit too scared to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
In their local areas. So let's talk about that, and then if we have time, we can talk about some spoilers and some tournament etiquette and stuff like that as well. But that's going to be the main thing. But first of all, Mattias, let's introduce you. You're local to me. We're in Skövde, in the middle of Sweden, you could say, left to right. And we met playing Flesh and Blood.
Yep, indeed.
And one of the first pre-releases that I went to, and then you came along to the gaming group. And since then, we've been just trying to find time. You've been teaching me Flesh and Blood. I've been teaching you Keyforge. But yeah, like, who are you? What do you do? And how did you get into card games?
Yes, 3 questions. Well, on the first one, who am I?
Questions.
Yeah. Well, who am I? My name is Mattias. As you said, I live in Skövde. Currently work as a journalist in a local paper here. That's really what I do. I come from Gothenburg originally, but I left that place because it's large and full of people, and I don't like people. So I'm not there anymore. I got into Star Wars. It's essentially the same way that you did. The local store was like, "Hey, this is cool," and I looked at it way back when they had the event in Essen where they showed it off a bit, and I was like, "Yeah, this looks interesting enough," and got hooked on it fairly quickly. And with the hype from you and from the store and from just the general community, I was just like, yeah, this looks fun. Especially seeing as Flesh and Blood was dying in the local area, and I was like, I want a new game. This looks fun. So, yeah. So that was 2 of the questions. I've played card games basically my whole life. Started off with Yu-Gi-Oh when I was in middle school. Technically before that, but before that we made up the rules and just sort of made a game out of it. We didn't know English. Cards were in English as
well. Exactly. It has numbers.
Yeah.
This number is bigger than your number.
Yeah, more or less. Also, this one lets me just resurrect my entire graveyard. No, it doesn't do that. It lets you draw cards, but shut up. And then we, my little group, we transferred over to Magic, and then we played that for a while, and then that died off, and then I started playing Flesh and Blood. So I've been playing Keyforge basically my whole life. Keyforge? No, card games. Words are hard. Keyforge I've played for a year. That's not my whole life. I am older than 1 year.
That's new to me. The amount of times I've been trying to get you to play Keyforge with me, and
Hey,
apparently you've been playing your whole life.
Look, man, words are hard. I've been working this.
They are. Words are hard as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that, and then obviously, like I say, Flesh and Blood came in, and I think did you top 10, top 8 at Nationals 1 year?
No, I have not been to Nationals. I've never been to Nationals. I've been to Road to Nationals, which I've done all right in some pro quests, and stuff like that. But I never got to the point where I was like playing really, really high tier. I was probably at one point I was at skill level where I probably could have, but time life, some family emergencies that stopped me from going to like 3 different tournaments in a row, and stuff like that happened. So I couldn't really play. And then as the local play stagnated, so did my play, and then everyone else ran away from me, and I stopped playing.
Yeah, I mean that being able to play a game and the livelihood of a game is so dependent on the player base you have in the area.
Absolutely.
Like that's why, like I've been trying to push Keyforge for the last 2-3 years here, and like no one turned up apart from me to the pre-release that we had.
In my defense, I was working.
That's fine. You're forgiven. But still, it's only 3 or 4 people. That's still not exactly the player base that we were thinking of.
No.
Flesh and Blood, we were pushing 5 and 6 people for I don't know how long.
A couple of months,
Yeah, first the same heroes over and over again. Now we've got in Quivda, we had 22 players at the last tournament, 16 players on average on a Wednesday nights, on draft nights at least. There is a player base here, and Manatorshka has been a big factor in that, I think, as well, because they backed the game, they love the game, and we're hopefully going to get them on to chat to us as well about being a store and holding this game. But that is a big reason where a game will survive. That the LGS has to push it and they have to get behind it as well. So we've both been very fortunate to have that shop and for this game to come out. Now we're playing this and invested again way too much money in this.
Whoops! Yeah, my wallet is not happy.
Yeah, mine neither. So that's you.
That is me.
And cool. So what you're coming from the in this is you're a good player. You are I think a skilled player with card games as well, and I think I've learned a lot from you in terms of just how to think around card games as well. So hopefully you'll be bringing that side to this podcast.
Hopefully, a little bit.
Yeah. So welcome, and you will be on probably the episodes that you can make it.
Yeah, I haven't been able to confirm that I'm going to be here all the time, but I've at least gotten to the point where I've gotten confirmation that I can be here. So I'll be here when I can.
Yeah, and for those of you coming to Quivda, you'll meet Mattias there. You've probably seen. If you are in Quivda, you'd have met Mattias there. And so moving on, let's talk a little bit about the fact that there have been tournaments, there have been competitions in the last few weeks, and Boba hasn't really been winning anything because, a few weeks ago, people thought that this game was solved because there were 8 Bobas in the top 8 of a tournament in London. Mm-hmm. So what's going on?
Yeah, that's really a fun thing about Star Wars here is that the first set is surprisingly healthy. I don't think we really see that in a lot of games, but in Star Wars, there's been a couple of decks that were solved very early. Like Sabine, get low-cost things that hit hard. Boba, get high-value cards that hit hard. And Iden, remove things and then play high-cost cards that hit hard. It's fairly simple decks, right? They're not very complex. They're just taking high-value cards. Now we're seeing decks sprout that aren't just based on good value cards. They are based on slightly more complex deck building. And that's really fun to see those decks really be able to survive, because in a lot of games you will find just a single deck or 2 or 3 decks that just run everything else over. But in this game, it feels like almost every hero, has a spot. Not quite every hero. I don't think we'll see a Jin Urso do super well for a while.
No.
But like most decks have a chance, and those that don't probably will have a chance coming up in new sets.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. There are decks that will get more support. Like we've already seen that Chewbacca will get some more support with Underworld and Grit. And is it what was the big hairy? The big was it got the card called
Gentle
Big Hairy
Giant?
Beast? Gentle Giant, Big Hairy Beast, same thing. So Chewbacca, favorite of mine, will he will get some backup there. We have a whole load more aggro heroic stuff for other decks to get that backup as well. And maybe even Jin will be able to have a little bit of fun as well there. But then we have Darth Vader Blue is a deck which is getting very popular right now because it won the 5K and a seasoned Flesh and Blood player won that over in Florida. But then locally at the weekend we had the Alpha Spiel up in Stockholm had a May the 4th tournament where a Chirrut won, and that was Tobias Lind, who was guest last week.
Mm-hmm.
His Chirrut won that in the final. But going up into in the Swiss rounds, we had Caleb's IG88 that went 5-0.
Indeed.
In Swiss rounds. I mean, they're two heroes that haven't really seen a huge amount of love, I think.
Yeah.
They've almost been written off by a lot of people. So that's kind of wide open. And then even the Sabine yellow deck, the Sabine Cunning deck is also getting a lot of thing as well. And I know Nicola went to top 4 with a Sabine yellow. Actually just focusing on Nicola is a player that I know from the Keyforge world, and he's only really playing with cards he opens.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he really went in with one Falcon, with that, and a little bit of didn't have all the cards that he really wanted to, but he still went top 4 with that. So which is a big thing. But I also think it's a really good point here that player skill makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. That's
makes
the most important part.
Huge difference. Like you can play and you can pick any hero, you can pick your favorite hero, but if you're good at the deck, if you know the deck, if you know your deck, if you are the best at your deck, then you will do well.
Absolutely.
With whatever hero you play, apart from Jin Urso.
I mean, I think you can do something with her, but I like to bully her. So
exactly, yeah. I had a miserable time on draft with Jin Urso because I picked 13 events in a 30 card deck.
Don't do that.
Which was stupid. So yeah, that's something which we can think about and to do that as well. So if you've got a favorite leader, if you've got someone that you really want to do, I think the biggest thing is here, like, invest in your deck, invest time in your deck and playing your deck that you, just because someone hasn't come up with a deck list yet or that works or whatever. Play it because you enjoy it. Play it because you like it and keep going with it.
And I think one important part there is to don't just assume that someone's already solved it. A very good thing to look at with Caleb's deck there is it's an IG88 deck, but it's an IG88 deck that isn't aggro. It's more of a mid-rangey deck with a lot of control aspects. Some open fire, like some board clear, but also just more mid-rangey stuff. So when I faced it back in the Cantina Brawl once, I lost with Boba. And I just didn't know what to do with the first game, and then I made up a game plan for game 2, and that didn't work at all. So if you're looking at a hero and going, this ability works best with aggro, well, you might be right, but look at other things too. Look at what you want to do with it. See how it can evolve from that original vision.
Yeah, exactly. And play test it, get to know it, work out why it's good, why it's not good. And you were teaching me about this on Friday night when we were playing. Helping me make the layer deck more of my own. Having that same discussion. I already feel like it's a good deck already, but I kind of feel I'm seeing its weaknesses beyond me as the player. Weaknesses, which but that's still the thing. Like knowing what cards coming out, what cards you're going to look for, etc., etc. You can kind of almost pick the archetype you like playing and fit that leader to that in some ways.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, to an extent. We're not going to go all the way. Wait, what do we have here? It feels like, Mattias, our voices have carried quite a lot talking about Saturday and all these decks as well, because Adam has suddenly popped into the room here with his ears burning.
What's up?
Hey, Humble, how's it going? Or I think we were talking a little about nicknames before, and I think, was it Mother Moose? Someone said that one of your nicknames should be, if I'm Fun Daddy.
Mother Moose. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah, some kind of weird world we're going into there as well. So, Adam, we weren't sure if you were going to join, but then we realised that you could join, which is really great. You're kind of coming in from Karlstad here, so yes. Welcome. You were there on Saturday at the Stockholm May 4th event, playing Star Wars games on International Star Wars Day. I was very jealous. We've just been talking about IG88 and Chirrut ruling the day. IG88 taking 5-0 in Swiss, but then Chirrut doing Chirrut,
losing the final. Yeah.
Going there as well. But you, did you take Boba?
I brought Boba. I did.
How did that tournament go in terms of the types of decks that you had there? What were you facing? Was it different between the Cantina Brawl that we had a few weeks ago and
yes and no?
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of aggro, just like at the Cantina Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of Leias, it was a bunch of Sabines, right? Which is like an easier deck for Boba to play against. I would say.
I agree.
But like Sabine Jello is not easier, but the Sabine Green is easier than Leia Green. So there was a lot of that, and there was a few Krennics, and then it was the more like creative space, that like the IG88, the Blue Han. Chirrut is not creative anymore because we are very familiar with the Chirrut, but like it was an open top cut. But for me,
Sweden's got a bit Chirrut on the map, I think now.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Or Tobias, maybe not Sweden.
Tobias is Sweden. There we go.
Yeah. But yeah, so I played like 4. I faced 1 Leia and 3 Sabine in my Swiss round. I won every game 2-0, and then I faced a Krennic, which is my counter, and I got smashed 2-0 in that one.
Okay,
and then I went to the top cut and faced a Krennic and lost 2-0. So
same Krennic or different?
Different Krennic actually, but both the other Krennic was also in the top cut. He went out against Tobias in a close 2-1, which was like because obviously Boba I was done quite quick, so I watched that a little bit and I was quite amazed of how it looked so bad for Tobias in that game. Like he won by discarding cards basically. So he had to make the guy top deck in the end. It looked so bad. But yeah, so yeah, like a lot of aggro.
That's interesting that the decks have these top decks. They also have that ability that they can push to the end. The control decks, I guess, that they can push to the end. They can mill and they can win these tough matchups by top decking.
Yeah, like in the end, it was because he had a lot of cards, and the other guy only had 2.
Yeah. But it's like, again, it sounds very much like the piloting has been very important.
Yeah,
there.
I would say so. It was more piloting relevance than necessarily the decks. Now, of course, we might have to start putting some respect to the IG deck. I don't know, but I'm still in the corner of putting more respect to the player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb, we met him at the Cantina Brawl. We're coming into Store Showdown season now, where we're going to start. I think it's first short Store Showdown is this weekend coming up.
Yes.
And so it depends. I'm not sure how if Tobias and Caleb are going to try and get to them all, or
it would be a long journey.
Yeah, it may be a long journey. But this Saturday, in time, is in Malmö. Store Showdown in Malmö starts 11 o'clock at. Is it? Which is the location there?
Player tickets.
Is it player tickets in Malmö?
Yeah, not the one in Lund. That one is later.
Okay,
there are two stores with the same name. They're doing it the different.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what confused me actually. That Mattias, that's what actually confused me, because there is a player, and the player ticket in Lund, they're having their Store Showdown the same day as Manitorsk in Kvivde is having their Store Showdown on the 26th of this month, May. That's that one, yes. Yeah. And then Dragon's Lair in Stockholm is having their Store Showdown on a Monday night.
Yep.
Is this the Monday night coming?
Yes, it's the 10th.
Ooh. On the 10th, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought the day was the 10th, but it's not. So that's just me. So that's what's happening there.
Oh,
so
wait, I missed you a bit. 10th is a Friday. It's the 20th. Sorry.
The 20th. There was a zero there.
So,
there we go. Cool.
Oh.
I'm trusting you guys here. Come on.
Information is hard. Okay.
So I mean, kind of what happened on Saturday kind of backs up kind of to what Mattias and I were just saying as well. Like, you know, you can, if you really like a leader, you can be good at your leader and try and solve your own leader, solve your favorite leader. And it kind of makes me feel like I should have more faith in Chewbacca. Instead of trying to go down
maybe
essentially the easy layer route, because I know how layer works. It just hits, and I had a lot of success with it. I say a lot of success. I did a lot better than I thought I would, but maybe I should just have a little bit more faith in that. And that's what I'm taking away from this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where I'm actually considering, like, if I should bring some IG88 hate to the Store Showdown, because I just don't like it. It's terrifying.
I was actually really looking forward to playing him. Like, if I would have won my quarterfinal, I would have played him in the semis.
Okay.
Because I really wanted a rematch from the Cantina, because he's the reason I didn't win that.
Yeah, no, I also really want to face him again, but I'm also terrified of it.
Yeah.
Caleb, we're coming for you.
But another takeaway from the tournament, I would say, was like how good the counter decks are to each other, right? Like, for me, like, I smashed all my supposed to win matchups, and I was almost not close to winning any of my Krennic matchups. I think one was really close and I played bad, so I should have won that. But like, it's still like 3-1. It's like 25% win rate, even if I win that.
Yeah.
So like, when reaching the top cut, you actually need to have some luck with your opponents. Like,
you need to draw well, they need to draw badly.
Yeah,
and just like who you get matched up against, like seeing if you can dodge play. Like my first top 8 in any game in Flesh and Blood was just step 1, dodge all the Starvos. Step and then just like, okay, I did that. Now we can play the game.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no like losers bracket. There is no losers bracket. So
no,
you're out if you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, during that time, it was just dodge Starvo and you'll be fine until we get to the final where you'd meet Starvo. So the meta is open in that way, where you can do well with anything, but then there is still a little bit of a block paper scissors feel to it, I guess, where you can do that. So would you say that then sideboarding becomes even more important to the success there, but having those tools in the sideboards to your Achilles heel or your
absolutely. Knowing what to side in,
so.
and almost as importantly, what to side out in any given matchup is the thing that will make or break a lot of your games.
Yeah,
it's your best chance at least to at least get close to the bad matchups. And then if you're the superior player, maybe you can like squeeze the 2-1 in the bad matchups. You won't do it every time, but because that is how counter matchups works. But you need to give yourself the best opportunity possible.
Yeah, and hopefully the large card pool in Shadows of the Galaxy will also help solve the rock, paper, scissors side as well.
Yeah,
I mean, rock, paper, scissors in most card games of this style is always a thing, right? The general idea of aggro beats control, control beats mid-range, mid-range beats aggro has it's been that way since probably 3 years before the birth of Christ, right? That's not changing with one set. It's not going to change with 10. But they might give you more sideboard tools to keep you in the game. It might bring you from the 60-40 to the 55-45.
And to be fair, what's good now is the balance, because like I was playing Boba and he smashes the aggro, but the Krennic counter is really bad. So like, so you can play Krennic, and Krennic is not awful into aggro apparently because they made it to the top cut. So there is like not one way to really play it, like the safest, securest. I guess aggro is because you don't want to go time, but
it's a very open meta with a very healthy set. They've been surprisingly successful in making this set balanced, which that doesn't usually happen with set one. So
it didn't look like it for when the 8 Boba top cut there in London, but that's not how it looks anymore, and that's very nice.
It is very good. I was listening to another podcast that was saying that when they were talking about where people were, that the 8 Boba tournament actually turned a lot of people off because they thought the game was solved. They didn't want to even start playing it because that game's already solved. That's that's the way, and it's so far from that. It's so far from that. So if you're new, if you're just going into the game like this, you get so much enjoyment from the possibilities. And of playing your favorite characters. You can go 4 different ways with the one character that you want. 2 of those ways might be really, really bad. But you can still, there's still the pathways are still there.
And we can assume that once the next set is released, we're going to have the same situation. There's going to be a new Boba, there's going to be a new Sabine, and then those things are going to fall off. A takeaway is to not just get spooked by the immediate results of decks and just do your thing, have fun.
And the fact that there's going to be a new Boba makes me so excited. Like
there is also literally going to be a new Boba, I guess.
There is. I mean, it's not officially been released yet, but it's been on the back of another image, Django? which where it looks like it's the Boba art that has been shown in the
sitting in the chair.
Sitting in the chair. So it's a command heroic Boba, and then there's also a cunning heroic young Lando from the Han Solo story. So they're 2 heroes that haven't been officially released yet, and I want to say something just so I've said it, and I don't think I'm sure if I said it here, but I called it on Twitter. I'm almost sure there's going to be a Jabba the Hutt villainy cunning. I don't maybe not cunning, but there's going to be a Jabba the Hutt leader. I'm calling it now. I'm pretty sure. I said it 4 weeks ago.
I just want Cad Bane. Give me Cad Bane. Cad Bane is cool.
I think there's going to be a Cad Bane. It's like the Shadows of the Galaxy. They're going to go full in bounty
hunters. If they don't do Cad Bane here, we get the pitchforks.
And he will. Cad Bane will not arrive in a long time if he doesn't come now.
Exactly. So sharpen the
pitchforks. There's still so many cards they need to spoil. We will say you missed it, Adam, at the start of the episode. Like we were just saying, like so many cards have been spoiled since we last recorded. We won't even have time to go through the spoilers in this episode because there's just so many there. But there's so much good stuff.
And we haven't even seen a lot of villainy yet. We've only basically seen so.
No, exactly.
That's going to be interesting.
But so that's that. But we've kind of already started talking about this aggro mid-range or control archetypes of decks. And so we're going to kind of talk about the game very simply now, and this is kind of like a main discussion point here, like within the context of Star Wars University. And I'm coming this, and I'm actually, part of me is actually very curious about the answers about this conversation, asking you two who are seasoned card players, coming from a more of a casual board gamer, casual card player, because Keyforge is still more of a casual game. In that sense, like when we're talking about aggro, mid-range, and control, there are more archetypes, of course. There are more labels that we can put on decks. But how do we identify these decks with its aggro, mid-range, control? What do they mean?
Well,
Mattias,
I mean,
do you want to start off?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's, as you said, you can absolutely divide into more categories, but most decks fall into one of these three categories in some way or form. And aggro just essentially means play sheep things that kills the opponent before they do a thing, before they do the thing that deck sets out to do. So if you're playing against an item, an aggro deck's point is to kill it before it gets the control rolling, right? And gets the big things dropped. Whereas a mid-range deck is more focused on, well, the midpoint of the game. That's the mid-range. But generally speaking, high value cards, right? Getting the most bang for your buck with every resource played. But focusing around in this game then like 5-6 resource range, 4-5-6 resource range, and like having their big turn around there. So they can usually deal with aggro, but they'll still fall off a bit if the game goes on too long. Like, right, they won't have that many high-end drops, 8, 9, 10 cost drops, because they want to, at that point, have taken control of the game.
This is like the Boba Fett turn, 5 resource turn, where you need to do so much and turn the
exactly.
board
Just
around,
get as much damage and board state control during turn 5, so the opponent can't recover, right? And if you're playing aggro and you're trying to do that at that same resource, you will be losing because you don't have cards to deal with those resources, right? And when we go into control, we have more of this. You want to make sure to get to the late game. You want to make sure that the opponent doesn't get to do what they want to do and run out of options, and then you have your options left.
Right.
And then there is like the fourth deck archetype that can slot into any of these. It's the combo decks, right?
Yeah.
That is like a fourth, and that is actually a little bit like doesn't have to be in one of these, like only one. It hits it has this combo, and it hits, they can have like 2 or 3 different combos, and then they hit in different stages of the game.
Yeah.
But
can you give examples of that for the listeners who haven't really seen that, and me?
I think we don't have too much combos in, like big combos here yet, but
not
like,
huge combos, but even there's like small combos that you might see.
Right now there is like the Rebel combos, like Rebel Assault is a combo, Fleet Lieutenant is a combo, but like there can be more like even more chains to the combinations, like
So Rebel Assault onto Leia, you can actually hit with 3 different, in one action, hit with 3 different units.
So I think the more of these traits, like Rebels, Smuggler, like Bounty Hunters, you will build decks around the keywords. Those are going to be the more combo-oriented decks. Right now, like for example, the Boba Fett is just slam the best, fattest units.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't really care about what it stands on them. It's Boba Fett is a 3/5. He's good. Greedo's a 3/1 for 1. That's nasty, and that's why we play it, not because
get
they
the most bang for your buck. Yeah. And Chirrut kind of falls into being the first proto combo archetype, because since it's playing those force cards, it has cards that are kind of bad unless you have a force unit. If you have a force unit, they're way above curve. So that's sort of like, if we're just hypothesizing for the future, we might see more stuff like that, where you have a character that triggers certain cards, and those cards might trigger some other cards, and then you have a long-ass combo going. But what another combo would be the K2SO and Heroic Sacrifice play, which just sort of does 9 damage. Good luck recovering from taking 9 damage to the face. It's turn 4.
Yeah.
So right now, most of the combos are fairly early on the spectrum, I'd say. But we might see late game combos. I know there's been speculations about some card comboing with the one that lets you play a card for free, but paying with health instead for 7 or something.
Oh yeah, Galactic
Ambition?
Yeah, I think
Something
so.
like that.
Galactic Ambition, yeah.
Yeah, there's been speculation about that comboing with something that basically just sort of wins you the game when you play it.
Yeah, I bought 3 more today of those.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be that big of a. If that's a thing, it's going to be the Exodia play of this game, which is like, okay, you have a chance of just sort of randomly winning, but it's probably not going to happen. But
it's a 1 in 10 out kind of thing.
I really hope there won't be too much of the combo stuff, because like the combo stuff makes people have to sit and watch while things happens and not interact too much. So,
but if there's combo stuff, there needs to be a good way to interrupt that combo. The possibility to when you see the combos happening, that you have a way to stop the combo happening as well.
I mean,
if you know what the combo is.
Yeah, that would be the optimal situation, of course, having counters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of games will wind up in the situation where you have a lot of cards searching for other cards in the deck, and then you just play the first couple of turns, searching up your combo, and then you play it out, and then you win. Yeah. But since this game is back and forth, there might be ways to deal with that. I don't know. We'll see when that happens, right?
And I think there's more chance of actually doing that here. Yeah. And I'm just trying to think about the whole Ecto Charge fiasco in Keyforge, for those who which nearly made you rage quit a game versus me after we played the game, where I played a game out. I got the wording wrong, but when they printed the card, it was the fact of basically it's also a free key just by the fact that you play this card at a certain time of the game. And it was almost so bad, but they ended up erratering that at the same time, and the opponent had no way of stopping that win. There was no chance of even stopping that, and I really hope that there are not those types of cards in this game, because that ruins the enjoyment for both players.
Absolutely.
Because I had a couple of these decks in Keyforge where I had these, and I felt bad playing that card. I felt bad winning in that way because I didn't feel like I'd earned the win.
Yeah, it's not particularly enjoying when you just sort of, you don't really beat your opponent, you just sort of solve the game beforehand. And after all, the game is about playing an opponent and bettering them or being bettered by them and learning from that game.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we see that there. There are a few combos coming up, like the Fennec Shand thing. Feels like there's going to be a combo link to that one. Maybe with the new Bogey units. On attack, deal 1 damage to the defender for each different cost among cards in your discard pile, for example. So messing around with the discard pile a little bit there. There's going to be hopefully some other ones coming in here as well. But back to one conversation then. So we have these 4
archetypes.
4 archetypes here as well. How do we, if we're on the back end of those matchups, like how do we deal with it? Because I mean, we need to have tools. If we know, and we kind of touched on this a bit earlier, but if we know that control beats aggro, as an aggro player. But aggro beats control. Sorry.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the other way around. If we know aggro beats control, like how do we go about thinking? Okay, how do we stop that? Like, and the other ones as well. Like, what tools can we give our listeners to kind of think? Okay, when we're sideboarding, when we're thinking of this coming into this Store Showdown season, what tips can you give our listeners for just this moment?
I think the first thing you should start with is building a deck and see what is my tough matchup, right? Do I want to have my main deck opted against that, the worst matchup? Or do I just want my main deck to be really, really good at the things it's supposed to be good, and then the whole sideboard to counter my bad matchup, right? So you should strengthen your main deck in a way, and then use the sideboard as a substitute for the bad matchup, or you make your main deck a little bit weaker on what it does to be more well-rounded, adaptable, and then you have the sideboard to like do just enhance that when you don't face the worst opponent.
But obviously it depends what the meta is as well, right?
If you have a lot of aggro players locally and you're playing control, you should probably try to
Sentinel and
you should try to like basically look up what you're playing against regularly and try to build against that if you're playing locally. If we're going into a bigger tournament like we'll see set 2, we're going to start seeing the qualifiers, then you probably want maybe something more well-rounded, looking more about the actual national and international metas. Look, try to think like, what do I need for these matchups and how do I keep myself winning the most amount of games? But on the question of specifically like how to deal with the different different archetypes, what you should be looking at is what do those archetypes want to do. Aggro wants to hit you in the face a lot of times until you are dead, preferably very dead. How do you stop that? You stop them from hitting you, or should they be hitting you? You get your health back, right? You do some healing. In green, the obvious choices should be maybe something like the Consortium Star Viper, I think it's called. Because it will usually outtrade most flying low-cost cards and also heal you some. Because you'll probably have initiative. Looking at those cards that will give you that advantage. If you're playing mid-range into control, you want to have a sideboard with some bigger things that will just be there for when you get into those top matchups. Maybe ways to deal with the bigger threats that your opponent gets, like Change of Hearting a Avenger and then attacking them with the Avenger and then blowing up something else with said stolen Avenger. Getting those, like looking at what does the opponent do, how do I make them lose something by doing the thing they want to do, losing resources, losing cards.
And especially in the mid-range into control aggro, sometimes you cannot think about everything your opponent can do. Sometimes you have to just let go and just hope that they don't have the card.
Exactly.
They can't have every card.
No.
And if you have, let's say you have 2 cards out and you need to hit with both of them, the opponent has 2 cards and 4 resources open. One of your cards is 6 cost, one of them is 4 cost. So you're like, all right, so either I counter the part of the dark side, or I counter the takedown. Like you can't counter all of them.
Choose your way and go with it.
And just accept your fate if you're at the point where like it's 50-50, I die here. Okay, fine.
Yeah, like I did that in this in the event this weekend. Like I knew that because I was facing Krennic that if I don't kill him next turn, he's going to win. Because like I need this. So it was like if he has Super Laser Blast, I lose. So it's not even worth keeping these 2 units because I will never recover. So I just slammed everything on the board, just hoping that he didn't have Super Laser Blast, because then I actually win the game. You have to like find your win con. You cannot just play their game. And
playing your game is actually is a really key point there. Yeah.
Finding the balance between the two, I'd say, because if you just focus on what you want to accomplish, you'll also wind up running into traps. But I played my league game for the Swedish league going on yesterday against I believe it was a blue Vader? No, a green Vader. Yeah,
Green Vader ramp, or Blue Vader control.
A Green Vader ramp, that was it. The point was he had a Vader out, his leader Vader out. And he had put a Fallen Lightsaber on it, and he had taken 4 damage on the Vader. I had my Boba out, playing Boba. And he was deliberating whether or not to hit my base or kill my Boba. He decided to, because he was afraid that I'd surprise strike my Boba if he kept it alive and killing his Vader, he decided to attack my Boba. Only problem is I have a lot of ambush cards in my deck, so I drew an ambush card and killed his Vader. So like you can't really, like in that situation, maybe they just think, what is the most likely outcome? Well, he has a lot more ambush cards probably. I attack base and then keep myself alive that way, right? But so you can try to learn the different matchups and just like what is the most likely outcome in any given situation and try to work against that. You can't work against every outcome, but you can work against the most likely one.
Yes. Or the most harmful.
Or the most harmful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That takes time. That takes the time
Absolutely.
that takes the study of understanding what the deck lists are that you may be going up against.
Yeah.
Understanding if Blue Vader is popular right now. I'm not sure how popular it will be in Quivda at the end of the month. I don't think we've seen any Blue Vaders. I know, Mattias, you go to more of the constructed evenings than I do. I don't think there's any Blue Vaders there, for example.
I don't think so.
No, we haven't seen any there. However, there are, we're aware of other decks that are there a lot. Yeah. So we know what we're going to be focusing on
when you're getting into
the
bigger tournaments, right? We're going to be seeing people traveling further, and then we're going to see the local meta get broken up.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, I'm not sure how much more we can kind of go into that. So I hope, if you're a new player, hopefully that has been helpful to your thing, and also a little bit giving you some hope going on into the Store Showdown season, which is really exciting. Like being in this game with a really lively OP scene that isn't Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. I'm actually going to 2 Store Showdowns this week.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you are. You're going to Malmö, if I'm correct.
I'm going to Malmö. I'm doing a 3-day ride because I am in Karlstad now. Yep. So on Thursday, I'm going to Norway to play a Store Showdown because that is fairly close to the Karlstad. Yeah. Then on Friday, I'm going to Lincoln playing the constructed event. I don't think that's a Store Showdown.
Probably not. It's a convention.
Yep.
Not a store.
Yeah. But there is the Westeros store that is hosting it, so it could be. But I don't think it is. And then on Saturday, I go to Malmö to play the Store Championship on Malmö.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about going, but I also realized that Eurovision is the same weekend, and timing trains down there and not being delayed during Eurovision in Malmö is just not going to work out. So
I have 8 minutes to spare.
That was the train I was looking at too.
I booked it before I knew it was Eurovision. I think it's going to work. It's the fast train. They prioritize it higher than the others. Yeah.
And I'm staying only 2 hours away from Malmö for a few days, so I am trying to look at my chances to drive down to the Malmö one, just because I'm there. If I was in Quivda, Mattias, I would have driven us both.
That's fine.
But that's that. We did get a question from Nicholas in our Discord. If you haven't joined the Nordic Takedown Discord, please do. The link's in the show notes. And he asks there, what are our plans for Lincoln? Do we have plans for Lincoln as a podcast? The quick answer is Adam's going.
Yeah, I'm going, and I'm playing the constructed event on the Friday evening, and we are a few people who are actually going to. We are going to have our draft. I think we have spots for 10 people, and I think we are 7 or 8 signed up already. So if someone wants to play some draft in around I think we said 10 or 11, you can contact me on Discord. I'm so humble. You're probably in the Swedish Discord, so it's easy to tag me, and I can give you the more exact details. But we're going to play both a draft and then the constructed event, so it's going to be a full day of Star Wars for
exciting,
for
amazing,
us.
And if you are going to Lincoln and you see Adam, you ask him nice enough, he'll probably autograph your chest.
Obviously.
Yeah,
it's going to be ugly, but obviously.
Yeah, so that's kind of our plans for that as well. And then I think we're all going to be in Quivda in a couple of weeks' time as well. But we've got I think 2 episodes before the Quivda Store Showdown as well. So a lot to talk about before that happens as well. But Lincoln looks exciting. I really wanted to go, but that didn't happen for me this year.
Me neither. I unfortunately can't really take time off of work at this given moment because of things happening there. So
Yeah. So that's just the thing. But Lincoln is a great event, well organized, always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Which I hear from people that go there. So great job for the people is it Vesteros that have organized this? So thank you so much. And
Red Goblin, I think the store is.
Is it Red Goblin? Yeah.
I think so. Or just Goblin, something like it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Maybe next year for Lincoln we will do something as a podcast and actually a thing together at one of these events as well. But we're only 10 episodes in, which is still a feat in itself. So we are just starting up. So who knows what'll happen in a year's time. Cool. The other question, we didn't get a lot of questions. We got a couple of questions in the other Discords, which were kind of questions that we could probably make an episode out of in the future. Wish list for the future, cards that we want to see, favorite piece of art, etc., but things that we can kind of do. So keep asking those questions. We're noting them down. So we're not ignoring them. We wanted to talk about the new mechanics, but we've run out of time. But because again, we could do a spoiler episode with a catch up on the spoilers, talking about these whole new mechanics. I'm loving Smuggle more and more.
Yeah.
The more I read, Smuggle more and more. Just a little bit there. Who's the is it the leader? Hunter that. No, which is the unit? Is it Echo or the one that makes everything gives everything Smuggle?
Yeah, one of the bad batches.
Oh yeah, I think it's Echo. I think so. I'm not sure. I'm so behind on the spoilers. Now when I've been traveling,
there's a lot of names. I don't remember which ones.
Yeah,
which.
There's just some really good stuff that they're doing in Smuggle, and it opens up the game so much.
Smuggle is absolutely the most interesting of the three, in my opinion. But it's going to be that one needs basically an entire episode of its own if we're gonna tackle that one. But it's exciting and slightly. I am apprehensive but excited.
Yeah, and like even just before we started recording tonight, they released the boss leader units.
Wait, really?
Yes, yeah. There's boss leader units, which looks amazing.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Mattias is now distracted quite a lot now. So it's a green villainy.
Wasn't it red? Maybe it was.
Yeah, he's right. I'm clearly colorblind. It's a red villainy. Yeah, you're right. Deal
really
deal 1 damage to a unit with bounty. You may give it +1/+0 for this phase. So if you've got a bounty on you can make it better. And then on the board side, you get when you collect a bounty, you may collect that bounty again. Use this ability only once each round. It's at 5 cost, so it comes out of 5, and it's a 4/6 unit.
So that's going to be very dependent on how the bounty mechanic evolves then.
Yeah. Might be good, might be trash. It's
either going to be pretty good or it's going to be completely garbage.
Exactly.
No in between.
It also did come out with another spoiler today, Chainco Collector, Cunning, 4/2, Ambush, and then on attack, if the defender has a bounty, it gets -4, -0 for this attack as well. So more and more stuff is coming out to move with bounty, to interact with bounty as well. So it could be either a combo or a way to go with
or a really fun just draft hero, honestly.
Yeah, that also or Twin Suns maybe.
We'll definitely. Cool. Well, that's what we've got time for tonight. Mattias, welcome to the team. I guess a returning side host, making it when you can. It'll be really good. Thank you for your thoughts and your breakdown on aggro and the archetypes.
Hopefully it made sense.
That's been really helpful. That's been really helpful for myself as well. And Adam, thanks for kind of getting involved, even though you're in Karlstad and you haven't got your normal setup. So
no problems.
So thanks for coming on, and thank you, listener, for joining us. Find us on Discord, join our Patreon. come and say hi, tell us what you think, and give us ratings. That's the best thing you can do for us as well. Give us ratings on the thing, get us more seen as well, and come and say hi. Until next week,
may the force be with you,
and also with you. Good night.
Good night.